So how do we explain the issue of okay, I want you to give me the picture of this, that, or give me a short movie depicting this, and it brings it out as it is. Is that
Mm.
also aside, is that also can we put that as a plagiarism, or you can own it as your own because you told AI to generate this and AI did it and it's yours?
So the only time you can take something as your own is if you built your AI tool, you gave it data, and that data is not something it, took from the web, but like your own original data, maybe like your colleague, maybe you're a journalist and you put all your, writings, all your archives, and you put it in, you create your own data, AI tool and you impute it, then that's your work. But
Okay.
like as long as it's repeating something from the World Wide Web, you cannot say that's your thing. I mean, there's a lot of problems with even those who are in music who use AI to AI generated music. You listen to it and it sounds a little too much like Beyonce, or it sounds a little too much like Michael Jackson, because what it just does is just like, because it can't create an original thing, it's just repeating,
Mm.
it's just reproducing.
Thank you very much for that. So now, should AI decision making be transparent? Please explain.
Yes, yes, it should. There's a lot of so apart from OpenAI, there are other players like Anthropic and Google, and now what's the name of X? That's Elon Musk's X. And so there are a lot of players right now in the AI market. And I think out of all of them, there's been a lot of because of like a lot of activism about, you need to be transparent about one, where your data is coming from. Number two, where the environmental impact of your models. Number three, what are the biases in your system? What's the system prompt? What's the original prompt? For instance, um, Elon Musk Grok AI. Couple of weeks ago, somebody reviewed the system prompt, and the system prompt of Grok AI was basically, I can't remember the entire thing, but the thing was, do not regurgitate like woke outputs. And because Elon Musk is very openly like centrist or now on the right, and so he's like anti-woke, and he's like, do not make sure you do not repeat anything woke. And so for that tool already has that model already has a bias of the owner, and the bias is do not repeat anything woke. And so there's a lot of questions about transparency, about what's your system prompt, and tools like Anthropic, I think, at least I know, have been like very I've been trying to make all their processes very open so people can really see, okay, this is our data, this is our use, this is our blah, blah, blah. And they're trying to do that. But like that's something that everybody needs to do. For instance, there's been a lot of talk, and I wanted to talk about this especially about how, so the data that there's a lot of views on the internet. The internet is full of terrible things. And so because they do not want these large language models to repeat these terrible things, like the issues of like child pornography, issues of, a lot of, terrible issues. And so because they do not want these tools to repeat it, a job was created called data labeling. Now, this is back-breaking work. This is you reading stuff, watching videos for hours and hours. Imagine like auditing everything on the World Wide Web.
Mm.
Like just hours of back-breaking work. And so, because nobody in Silicon Valley is going to do that, and so they decided to reach out to contractors who would hire African workers. And so workers in Kenya, workers in Nigeria, and some other South Asian workers who will get pittance to data label. And a lot of times, because I mean, in Nigeria, any job that pays you dollars, you're like, oh my God, yes, you want to take it. But like a lot of them don't realize just how terrible this work is. And then they start doing it. And imagine sitting and watching videos of child pornography day after day after day after day. And you are labeling it to the model that this is bad, this is good, this is bad, this is good. After a while, they start to experience psychological effects of this exposure.
Yeah, yeah.
And they would reach out to their contractor. The contractor is called Sama, And Sama is going to be like, we told you before you came to us. So like, this is not our business. Or they will refer them, they will do something, all this HR language. And now a couple of people, they formed the organization called Content Moderator Union. And so they banded together. There's this particular man, Okunyi, is Kenyan. He withdrew because he was a data labeler, and this started to get to him. He withdrew. His wife and his child left him. He withdrew. He was like he couldn't interact in public anymore because he was traumatized.
Mm.
And so he started to call out and campaign and say, this is terrible. There's so much that is happening to us that they are not paying attention to because we're Africans. And there's this activist also from Kenya, I think his name is Daniel, I can't remember his last name, who had said that this is Facebook and Meta's African sweatshops. Now,
Mm.
you know what a sweatshop is like, especially like places where people work and they work for so long with little pay, and they're basically the working conditions is so terrible. And basically you can work for 24 hours and earn $1, and it's so terrible. And so they started this activism to call out, the terrible working conditions that they're experiencing. And Sama basically said, not us. Facebook said, not us. OpenAI didn't even comment. And so, but what is beautiful about that is that these African content moderators are now speaking out. They have formed this union, they are speaking out, they are going to speak at the EU to talk about like the dangers of AI and the dangers of using Africans, especially as laboring bodies for these systems. And there's a lot of good attention that they're getting, and it's just I mean, it's terrible, but it's also beautiful to see that Africans are the ones, are part of the people leading this charge against, the terrible conditions that come with AI.
Okay, thank you so much for that exposition.
Yeah.
Now I am confused, and now you mentioned OpenAI. So OpenAI is a different. Is it an organization, and ChatGPT is also different, or
OpenAI is the parent company of ChatGPT.
okay? So
Yeah.
okay, so they're not. Then Elon Musk AI too is there.
Yeah, there's XAI that produces Grok. That's the AI on Twitter. Then there's Meta AI. Then
Oh,
there are
okay. Now we have Google AI too.
Yes, there's Google AI, there's Anthropic, and that's Claude AI. So like
Oh,
different companies, different
okay, so
players.
now, but the major one that everybody seems to be relating with is the OpenAI, which has to do with ChatGPT.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Now, how can we ensure that AI benefits everyone, not just a selected few?
Hmm. So right now, the people that AI is benefiting is the Silicon Valley people and their and their family members. And I think that question is something that a lot of African I don't have the answer. My work is basically critical theory. And so I basically see this and theorize about it. And so my work is not on the ground of assessing these systems, even though like through AIA, I've been able to interact with these people in person and see the beautiful work they're doing. But like a lot of that is going to come from the people who are doing this work, who Africans especially, who are doing this work and trying to create AI systems that are doing what AI is supposed to do. So, and that's a joke that I would always say that it's like AI, not AI for cancer research or AI for AIDS or AI for all of the, diseases that we have that we need AI for. No, it's AI for let us make kids stop reading. AI for let's create like, let's take jobs from artists, let's take jobs from teachers. So like, and it tells you something that it is the jobs that are most vulnerable that AI is coming for, because it's so easy to like say, oh, you don't need your teacher. I can give you a model that will teach you. You don't need singers anymore. We can create AI generated songs. You don't need painters anymore. You can create AI generated that. And when you get on Facebook, oh my God, it's like a dumping ground for terrible AI generated images. And so there are a lot of Africans doing this work to point out. For instance, there's this lady in Kenya, this woman researcher from Kenya, Charity, and I forget her last name. She created this AI tool for farmers where they would And they don't even need internet, where with their mobile phones, they can scan the plants and they can be able to tell what disease is, whether the plant is diseased or not, which is incredible. There are people like Chinanza Okolo who are working with Nigeria and working with the African Union to create ethical AI deployment policies. And they're doing so much work on how can we create AI for flood detection, AI for crop disease identification, and not just AI for like facial recognition and surveillance. Like, why do we need to surveil people? It's just, yeah, it's just this, and surveillance, the need to surveil people only puts money in a few people's pockets. But like AI for flood detection, AI for crop research, AI for cancer research, AI for all of these things that actually are impacting people and we need like these solutions for are things that people are working on. And it's just beautiful to see. And that's what I say, like, there's a lot of good about AI. And these people are also are also trying to grapple with the fact that there's an environmental cost. How can we create these systems in a way that doesn't ruin our environment? And so there's a lot of conversations going. It's just that the AI hype people are louder than these people. And but there's a lot of work going on the ground, and I'm glad that not all of it is underground anymore, because some of them were identified on Time 100 AI. People like Chinanza Okulu and Mofat Okuni, like I mentioned, and this other woman content moderator as well, who is from Nigeria, actually, Kauna Mowgli. And so there are people who are actually doing this work, who are getting the recognition. It's just that we need more of them. But surely there's a lot of conversation on ethical and community-centered AI development.
Thank you so much for that. And now, I know while we're talking, we mentioned it, but I would like us to also reiterate it. And the question is, who owns AI generated, intellectual property?
Um, the person who owns AI generated intellectual property is the person who created the original thing that AI read. That's
Oh,
the person who owns it.
that's the owner.
Yes, that's the owner. That's the
Many
owner of that work.
rising all of this.
Yeah.
No wonder, even on YouTube, you get to they'll tell you this is AI version and this is. So it's very important that even when we generate things with AI, we should always give the credence to
Yes.
AI, even
Yes.
not even be for AI too.
Yeah. And the fact that people have to even acknowledge that this is AI comes out of activism by AI auditors and AI accountability experts. So, like, for everything you see where people have to declare that I used AI here, there's a lot of work going on. People pressuring Congress, people doing, trying to talk with governments. You don't see them. They talk about their work on Twitter, they talk about it, but they don't get the hype because a lot of this work is often goes on unappreciated and a lot of it is unwanted as well. I mean, they don't want them. They don't want them to like trouble their models. And so, but yeah, there are definitely a lot of people that are doing this work.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. It's been wonderful discussing this topic with you. So finally, what do you do that nobody really knows about you? Like what's that special thing that you know that it's you and nobody knows? It's
Hmm.
just an aside.
So work, my work is essentially, I think the way I got into, yeah, I should probably give a story of how I got into AI. So my work is largely on digital cultures. I
Mm,
study communities online, especially feminist communities online. And so with XAI and how the creation of an AI system that is basically using people's data. So like everything you tweet, everything you share online, using your data to train a model. And I started to think that is not right. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, there's a lot of joke about how people share intrusive stuff online, but a lot of people are also sharing things that are saving them. I mean, there's a lot of crowdfunding going on online. There's a lot of people's pain, people's joy. You know, imagine everything you're sharing on social media being trained for a model and you don't get a penny. You're not
mm,
even getting paid and you're not even getting an acknowledgement. And apart from that, apart from the money side of it, there's the fact that there's a lot of terrible things on the internet. And so they are training data based on things that are false. And right now in this moment, I remember when Grok AI, I said Grok AI, Google AI came out, and there was a lot of jokes, you know, with people screenshotting how Google AI was basically saying wrong things. Because on the internet, somebody can basically come out and write an article and say, the world is flat.
mm.
You train your model on that. And when you ask the model, is the world round or flat? Based on this thing you read, it will say the world is flat because
Yeah,
it's not a system that thinks, it's just repeating what it saw. And
right.
so, because the internet is full of a lot of terrible things, that is not right. That
Just
is
because,
not right. And there's the whole question of like the, you know, using, I mean, we have a lot of history as Africans from colonialism to like enslavement. And the fact that they are perpetrating this thing with what Abeba Bayani will call digital colonialism, where they are coming with this hand of, oh, we are your tech saviors, we are trying to bridge the digital divide, we are trying to give Africa something so that Africa is not left behind. But what they're actually doing is using Africans as laboring bodies that they pay a quarter of what they will pay people in Europe or in America to do this work. And so there's a lot of things that people need to pay attention to, and that's the core of my work now. Um, yeah, we need to start to, you know, call that out and let a lot of people know about it. And we need to have African humanities researchers and not computer scientists speaking for us. We need to have humanities people speaking and say this is what it means for human beings, this is what it means for communities. And so, yeah, that's the essence of my work.
in other words,
Community
AI does
center.
not have human empathy, so we need the human research.
Yes, yes. So a
Okay.
community and human-centered approach, humanity-centered approach to AI.
Thank you so, so much for doing this with me today. It's a great privilege to actually hear this. I learned a lot just in this short period of time with you. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And to you out there, hope you've learned something today about AI. And we can always make the good things out of the somewhat, because every good thing has a bad side. So let's ensure that we look out for the best of AI and not just use it for the negative things. Until next time, when I come your way again with another exciting edition of Let's Talk on DNT Work. Be safe. Bye for now.